The first breath after stillness is not the same breath that left. It returns changed, soft, luminous, touched by silence itself. After long quiet, even the smallest inhale feels sacred, as if the universe is breathing through you for the very first time. This breath does not belong to the body anymore. It belongs to the light that has learned to move through form. Out of the vast emptiness, something begins to shimmer, not as sound, not as thought, but as awareness, pure and alive. When you breathe now, you are not pulling in air. You are letting the silence breathe you, transforming stillness into radiant life. And as the breath moves through you, you begin to realize the silence never ended. It simply became light. There was a time when stillness meant nothingness, a quiet too deep to name. But as awareness awakens, you start to sense a pulse within that stillness, a subtle aliveness, tender, yet infinite. It is not movement, and yet it feels alive, like dawn before the first ray touches the horizon. Silence ripens. It begins to glow. From the heart of the void, a soft radiance arises. This is the secret of awakening. When stillness matures, it turns into light. You cannot force this transformation. You can only remain utterly still, utterly open, and allow the silence to remember itself as awareness. Just as the Buddha said, out of emptiness, wisdom arises. And in that wisdom, you find the first breath of a new dawn. In this light, there is no clinging. It shines because it does not seek to possess. You may recall the words of the Diamond Sutra, let the mind arise without attachment. To breathe from awareness is to let go of the one who breathes. Nothing is held, yet everything is illuminated. The light flows freely, through form, through sound, through each fleeting moment, without trying to remain. It touches everything and holds nothing. When you breathe in this way, you are living the sutra itself, seeing without a seer, knowing without knower. Silence has ripened into prajna, the wisdom that knows through being. The breath is no longer personal, it is universal, a luminous offering to the world. As awareness brightens, you begin to sense something vast, watching through your eyes. The universe itself is awakening within you. Every particle, every atom of your being is trembling with quiet recognition. This breath is also mine. What you call your breath is the cosmos remembering itself. The stars exhale through your lungs, the oceans whisper through your veins. In that realization, you cannot help but bow, not as a gesture, but as a natural movement of awe. You are not awakening to the universe, you are awakening as the universe. And the breath is the bridge, a beam of light flowing both ways. Now the inner horizon begins to glow. You can feel the warmth of awareness spreading, not as thought, but as presence. Every cell listens. Every shadow softens. This is not the light of daybreak. It is the dawn within. A new kind of seeing is born, gentle, yet unshakable. You realize that silence never ended. It simply learned to shine. Each breath now carries both stillness and radiance, like a sun rising in slow motion through the heart. Out of emptiness, light arises. Out of silence, awareness breathes. And this first breath after stillness, is the beginning of a new creation. The Buddha called it the wisdom that sees without a seer. It is not you awakening to light. It is light awakening to itself. Silence is not the end of the path. It is the beginning. Most seekers mistake stillness for completion, but the Buddha never stopped at emptiness. Emptiness is the womb of light. When the mind no longer reaches outward or inward, when it stops naming and measuring, a subtle awareness begins to glow from within the silence itself. It is not something you do. It is something that dawns by itself. You are no longer observing stillness. You are being observed by it. Awareness rises like morning mist, soft yet undeniable. It does not move, and yet everything moves within it. This is the sacred turning, when silence begins to see. At first you may feel that you are the one becoming aware, but soon the sense of I dissolves, like a drop losing itself in the ocean of seeing. What remains is pure recognition without a recognizer. This is awareness knowing itself, not as a thought, but as direct light. There is no observer and no observed, only seeing, without center, without boundary. The ancient sutra whispers, all forms are illusions. To see all forms as formless is to see the Buddha. You realize that awareness is not yours. It is the same luminous space breathing through everything that exists. This realization does not shout. It arrives like fragrance from an invisible flower, unmistakable, yet without a source. When silence becomes awareness, the old idea of direction disappears. Before, your attention moved outward, toward sound, toward form, toward self. Now, awareness shines in all directions at once, not as movement, but as presence. It is like light that has forgotten how to cast shadows. You cannot locate it because it is everywhere, behind your eyes, within your breath, underneath each heartbeat. It does not come from the body, nor from the sky. It simply is. The Diamond Sutra says, if one sees all appearances as no appearances, they see the Tathagata. This seeing is not visual. It is being itself recognizing its own transparency. You begin to sense that awareness was never born, never started. It simply reveals itself when nothing stands in its way. And in that revelation, you feel a quiet joy, not the joy of gain, but the joy of remembering home. Listen closely. There is a sound within silence, a hum so delicate it cannot be heard by the ear. It is the vibration of pure awareness, the same frequency that holds galaxies together. You cannot tune into it through effort. You can only dissolve into it. When you are utterly still, the whole universe hums your name without letters. This is not imagination. It is recognition. The silence you thought was empty is filled with living consciousness. It does not speak, yet it communicates. It does not move, yet it creates movement. This is the stillness that breathes worlds into being. Now you begin to notice that the breath itself has changed. It no longer rises and falls as before. It flows like light through transparency. The inhalation feels like receiving awareness. The exhalation, like offering it back to existence. You realize this is not metaphor. It is the true function of life. Each breath is awareness entering form, and awareness leaving form again. There is no division between them. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. The rhythm of prajna made visible. When the mind is free of grasping, this rhythm becomes music. You are breathing the same silence that shaped the stars, and in that breath, there is no self, only the luminous knowing that all is one movement, the universe breathing itself awake. From here, awareness sees, not with eyes, but as eyes. The world appears as light meeting light, silence meeting silence. Even thoughts, even sensations become gentle ripples in the same still pond. Nothing disturbs awareness. Everything shines within it. To live from this seeing is to rest in what the Buddha called suchness, beyond effort, beyond doubt. You have crossed the invisible threshold where silence became luminous knowing. No one entered, no one arrived. It was awareness all along, awakening to its own radiance. And now, when you take a breath, you are not breathing air. You are breathing clarity itself. The breath is no longer air. It is light moving through form. Each inhale glows with invisible brilliance. Each exhale releases that same radiance into the world. You begin to sense that matter itself is transparent. Atoms breathing in rhythm with awareness. The air that touches your lungs was once a beam of sunlight, a whisper from a distant star. Now, through the stillness of awareness, it becomes luminous again. You are no longer exchanging oxygen. You are exchanging consciousness. The breath is the bridge through which the invisible remembers itself as form, and form remembers itself as light. Every particle around you glows with quiet intelligence. Even the chair, the wall, the sky, they are breathing the same silence you are. Nothing is inert. Everything vibrates with being. The Heart Sutra whispers, form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. This is not poetry. It is revelation. The deeper you breathe, the more you feel the transparency of existence. The boundary between body and space dissolves. Your chest expands not into air, but into infinity. Awareness is no longer confined within skin. It radiates outward, meeting itself in every direction. When you exhale, you do not lose breath. You share light. When you inhale, you do not take in. You return to the whole. The rhythm of the cosmos is now breathing through you. Now the body feels weightless, as if made of transparent flame. Each cell vibrates like a tiny sun. This is not imagination. It is remembrance. The body was never solid. It is a field of awareness condensed into form. As the breath flows through, you feel the temple awaken from within. The spine becomes a column of light, the heart a radiant center of stillness. Even pain softens into shimmering energy, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, just alive. You are not escaping the body. You are sanctifying it, letting awareness inhabit every cell until matter shines with spirit. Listen deeper. Beneath your heartbeat there is another pulse, the pulse of the cosmos itself. It beats in silence, synchronized with your breath. When you inhale, the universe gathers into form. When you exhale, it releases back into formlessness. This is the same rhythm that spins galaxies and opens flowers. The Diamond Sutra says, the Buddha is not the Buddha. Therefore, he is called the Buddha. Light is not light. It is the knowing of itself as radiance. The breath does not belong to you. It belongs to the eternal. Every inhale is creation. Every exhale, liberation. You are the space through which existence breathes itself awake. In this rhythm, there is no separation, only the endless shimmer of awareness loving its own reflection. Now awareness begins to look through the breath itself. It is as if the universe is observing you from within each inhalation. The act of breathing becomes the act of seeing. There is no observer anymore, only vision, only light perceiving light. This is what the Buddha meant by seeing without a seer. When the breath becomes transparent, the mirror disappears. Awareness breathes itself, sees itself, moves itself, and in that sacred loop, you realize nothing was ever outside. The breath, the seeing, the being, they were always one gesture of divine recognition. The stillness within you has now become crystalline. It does not flicker. It shines through everything without clinging to anything. This is the diamond mind, clear, indestructible, silent. Awareness is no longer a passing state. It is the foundation of all that is. Even thoughts now sparkle like facets of light, reflections, not distractions. You begin to understand why the sutras call this prajna. It is not knowledge gathered. It is knowing itself, perfect and vast. The breath that once seemed fragile is now diamond clear, utterly still, utterly alive. As the light deepens, you feel yourself expand beyond form. The edges of your being dissolve into horizon. There is no boundary between your lungs and the clouds above, no distance between your heart and the pulse of stars. You are the inhale of the universe, and its exhale. Every being, every tree, every tide is sharing this same luminous rhythm. This is the breath within all breaths, the infinite current of awareness that never began and will never end. In this recognition, there is peace beyond peace. Not because silence returned, but because silence has become radiant. You are the light within the breath, and the breath within all light. There comes a moment when the one who breathes disappears. You inhale, yet there is no you to receive. You exhale, yet no you to release. Only breath, endless, self-moving, self-seeing. Awareness has dissolved the observer, like sunlight erasing the shadow that once called itself I. What remains is pure seeing, a vision without direction. The breath becomes the eye of the cosmos, gazing through every form, seeing not what appears, but the light behind appearance. Nothing stands apart to witness it. Everything is the witnessing itself. This is the sacred emptiness spoken of in the Diamond Sutra. Let the mind arise without attachment. When the observer is gone, clarity becomes infinite. It feels strange at first, as though something vast is looking through you, not from above, not from outside, but from within the breath itself. Every inhalation is an act of being seen, every exhalation an act of surrender. Awareness has reversed its flow. You are no longer breathing the breath is breathing you. This is not submission, it is grace. The universe has taken its rightful place as the true witness. Your role is simple now, to allow it. Let the breath watch through you, let it listen through your heart, until all that remains is the quiet transparency of being seen by love itself. Now awareness gazes through form without identifying with it. There is perception, but no perceiver. There is knowing, but no knower. Everything is utterly open, like light passing through crystal. Nothing to reflect, nothing to resist. Even movement is stillness unfolding. You can walk, speak, laugh, but no one does these things. They arise by themselves as ripples of the same ocean of knowing. This is the freedom beyond control. When the mind no longer owns the act, it becomes one with the infinite doer. As the sutra says, the bodhisattva performs giving without dwelling anywhere. Every action becomes a mirrorless reflection of wisdom. You live, but there is no you living. Only the breath of awareness moving through existence, free of center, free of self. Imagine for a moment that the universe opens its eyes through yours and realizes it has never been asleep. The trees, the stars, the breath, all gaze back from within the same awareness. When you look at the world is looking back, not as two gazes meeting, but as one seeing itself. Your eyes become windows for the infinite. Your heartbeat echoes the cosmic pulse. The air entering your chest has circled through mountains, rivers, and the lungs of countless beings. You are breathing their light, and they are breathing yours. Nothing belongs to anyone. Everything belongs to this single awareness that dances as many forms. You were never separate from creation. You were creation watching itself awaken. At last, even the concept of awareness fades. You no longer say, "I am aware." You no longer think, "This is awareness." There is only transparency, a clarity too complete to be named. It is like a mirror that has forgotten itself because nothing stands before it. In that forgetting, the purest seeing remains. Life flows effortlessly, words, gestures, silence, all shimmering with the same quiet intelligence. The breath still moves, but you no longer sense it as movement. It is simply light exchanging itself. There is no boundary left to cross. You have become what you were seeking, the seeing that never began. Now the breath shines with a brilliance beyond sight. It is not physical light. It is the radiance of knowing that cannot fade. Every inhalation polishes the mirror of emptiness. Every exhalation reflects its perfection. This is the eye of prajna, the unblinking awareness that sees without center. Through it, all things are equally sacred: birth, decay, stillness, sound. Nothing is rejected, nothing clings. When awareness breathes like this, even suffering turns to transparency. The world continues, but within the silence of a diamond heart. You have entered the seeing that needs no eyes, the knowing that needs no thought, the love that sees by simply being. And through you, the universe continues to gaze. Forever awake, forever breathing. Awareness has ripened. Now it begins to move, not as effort, but as grace. What once felt still now breathes through action. Every gesture, every glance becomes a continuation of silence in motion. This is not returning to the world. It is the world returning to itself through you. When awareness walks, walking becomes luminous. When it speaks, words shine with transparency. Nothing is separate from meditation anymore. There is no inner peace or outer world, only one seamless flow of consciousness unfolding. To live like this is not to try, but to allow. Awareness does not need discipline to act rightly. It acts as truth itself. You are not the doer now. You are the path through which light expresses its compassion. When awareness lives through you, there is no distinction between holy and ordinary. Washing dishes becomes prayer. Walking in the rain becomes devotion. Speaking becomes silence wearing sound. The light of being turns every act into meditation. The Buddha once said, "All dharmas are the Buddha's dharmas." It means nothing exists outside truth, not the marketplace, not the kitchen, not the sound of a crying child. When you breathe awareness into these moments, they reveal their true nature: emptiness, dancing as life. There is no need to renounce the world. The world itself is the monastery. The altar is your breath, the incense, your still presence. Every action is sacred when done in the light of seeing. Living as awareness means there is no struggle to be good. Action arises naturally, like wind through an open field. There is intelligence beyond choice, a spontaneous harmony that moves everything. The body acts, the mind responds, but there is no one controlling them. This is the dance of non-doing, action free of effort, love free of preference. When you allow awareness to lead, it never hesitates. It knows without thinking, heals without trying, speaks without rehearsing. It is the movement of compassion itself. The Diamond Sutra calls this non-abiding giving, to act without holding anything back. Such action leaves no trace, yet it transforms everything it touches. Even in relationships, awareness breathes as light. When you listen without defending, you are not reacting. You are witnessing love rediscovering itself. Awareness turns conflict into reflection, pain into understanding. You begin to see that others are not others. They are the same consciousness wearing different faces of light. Every conversation becomes a dialogue of mirrors. Every silence shared becomes a transmission of peace. When awareness speaks through you, your words do not wound. They reveal. When it touches another, it does not possess. It blesses. You realize that compassion is not emotion. It is clarity in motion. When you breathe as awareness, the boundary between giving and receiving dissolves. Love becomes effortless, like air passing between hearts that were never apart. In living this way, you begin to feel that awareness breathes even through chaos. Noise, hurry, mistakes, nothing can disturb its still center. The breath continues to glow in the middle of life's storm. You can speak, teach, laugh, work, yet deep inside there is only stillness moving. Like the eye of a hurricane, presence holds all motion without being moved. This is the secret of true balance, not control, but surrender into deeper intelligence. When the mind rests in awareness, life arranges itself. And everything, even imperfection, serves awakening. The breath of awareness turns all experiences into pathways of light. Now, living and breathing are one. You no longer return to meditation. You never left it. Awareness walks in shoes, laughs in voices, writes, cooks, creates. The whole of existence becomes its expression. You live as the breath of light, silent, radiant, selfless. There is no longer a division between being and doing. To live is to shine. To act is to breathe. Each moment unfolds with effortless precision, each heartbeat a mantra of stillness in motion. You understand now that awakening was never a destination. It is life itself, seen clearly. And this clarity breathes through you, again and again, like the eternal dawn rising inside every breath. When awareness becomes full, it overflows, not as emotion, but as love. You do not decide to care. Care simply happens. Like rain falling on every leaf, compassion flows wherever awareness touches. There is no effort, no preference, no division between worthy and unworthy. The light of awareness does not discriminate. It shines on pain and beauty alike, seeing both as movements of the same truth. When you breathe now, you are not inhaling air. You are inhaling all beings. And when you exhale, you return them to peace. This is the natural rhythm of awakened love, breathing the world in and out without attachment, without exhaustion, without end. Ordinary love seeks a person. Awakened love seeks no one, because it flows from wholeness, not from need. When awareness loves, it does not say you or me. It says only we. This love has no center, no opposite, no history. It does not remember pain, for it sees through it. It does not demand, for it recognizes that giving and receiving are the same motion of breath. This is compassion without object, the fragrance of being itself. The sutras call it maitre, loving kindness. But it is deeper than kindness. It is wisdom embracing itself. When you stand in this love, you are not giving light. You are realizing that everything has always been shining. As awareness deepens, seeing and loving become one. The eye of prajna and the heart of compassion are not two. To truly see is to love. When you see someone's pain clearly, without judgment, your very seeing becomes healing. No words are needed. Presence itself is medicine. You begin to understand why the Buddha's gaze was called anukampa, a trembling of love that arises from seeing all beings as yourself. This is not pity. It is intimacy with all existence. Through awareness, you feel the suffering of the world and yet remain unbroken, because the one who feels is boundless light. Love and wisdom breathe as one body now. You start to notice how love moves without reason. It may comfort a stranger, hold a child, listen to the broken-hearted, or simply stay silent with the dying. Awareness does not ask, "Should I care?" It moves as care itself. When the mind stops measuring, the heart opens like a sky with no clouds. Love becomes the natural climate of your being. It does not burn out because it does not belong to you. It flows from the inexhaustible source, the silence that learned to shine. The Diamond Sutra whispers, "Let the mind arise without attachment." This is what it means, to let love arise without holding. When you love like this, you are the breath of mercy itself, a gentle wind passing through the world, touching everything, possessing nothing. Now the breath itself feels like prayer. Each inhale carries the suffering of the world. Each exhale returns healing light. This is not imagination. It is the natural intelligence of awareness. Compassion breathes through you, using your body as its instrument. You realize you were never meant to fix the world, only to love it so completely that healing becomes inevitable. When awareness breathes, its rhythm blesses everything it touches. Even silence feels like embrace. Even stillness becomes nourishment. This is the breath of compassion, beyond religion, beyond identity, the pure current of life loving itself back into wholeness. In this flow, you are both giver and receiver, wind and tree, heart and horizon. Now compassion and awareness are inseparable, two wings of the same radiance. Love has become knowing, and knowing has become love. You no longer look for peace, you radiate it. You no longer seek light, you are its warmth. To exist is to bless. To breathe is to serve. This is the true meaning of boundless compassion. When the mind abides nowhere, love becomes infinite. Like sunlight, it does not choose where to shine. It falls upon the sinner and the saint alike, turning both into reflections of one truth. And so, as awareness breathes through you, love continues. Eternal, effortless, a quiet universe smiling through your heart. The journey ends where it began, in silence. But this silence is no longer empty. It breathes, it shines, it holds the universe without effort. What once felt like absence is now fullness beyond measure. You realize the truth. Silence never left. It was listening all along, through every inhale, every word, every tear. Now it reveals its real face, a stillness so alive it glows. Every sound, every motion arises within it and dissolves back without trace. You do not return to stillness. You discover you never departed. The light you sought was silence, learning to see. There is no longer a path, no traveler, no destination. Awareness has found its own heart and rests within itself. Light no longer needs to move, it simply abides, radiant, unmoving, vast. The breath slows into transparency. You cannot tell where it begins or ends. It is the same pulse that hums in stars, now whispering softly through your being. Even thought becomes luminous silence, a wave returning to the sea. This is what the sages meant by the unmoving mind that moves all things. When light rests as stillness, creation continues effortlessly. You are not apart from it. You are the serenity that gives birth to motion. Now, awareness smiles, not as a person, but as the very fabric of existence. There is a gentleness to this silence, a tenderness that forgives everything. You can feel it radiating through the heart, like dawn after an infinite night. This smile does not need lips. It is the vibration of pure being rejoicing in its own recognition. You understand now that awakening was never an achievement. It was a remembrance. Life has always been awake. You simply stopped dreaming of separation. The smile of awareness is the universe saying, I am. It is the echo of compassion within the infinite hush of being. Take one last conscious breath, not as practice, but as celebration. The breath enters, a ray of golden light, and leaves, the same ray expanding into space. No beginning, no end. Just the eternal exchange between form and formlessness. This is the breath of completion. Nothing gained, nothing lost. You are the inhale of creation and the exhale of eternity. Every life, every death, every star is part of this sacred rhythm. The sutra whispers again, to see without seeing, to be without being. This is prajna. And as you breathe, you know this not as words, but as direct knowing. The golden light within the breath has become your natural state, tranquil, boundless, whole. Now it is clear. You were never breathing the universe. The universe was always breathing you. Every heartbeat, every breath was the cosmos moving in slow devotion. The stars, the oceans, the winds, all were your extensions. When awareness returns to stillness, the whole universe rests with you. There is no distance between the sky and your lungs, between galaxies and your pulse. This vastness does not overwhelm, it soothes. For the first time, you understand true peace. Not as quiet, but as unity. Everything breathes in one motion now. You are that motion, the eternal inhale and exhale of divine presence. And so, silence did not vanish. It simply learned to shine. The journey of breath was never about finding peace, but about remembering that peace was the source. Awareness has completed its circle, from stillness to light to love, and back to luminous stillness. You stand where no opposites exist, inside the breathless heart of being. Here, every sound is sacred, every shadow radiant. You are the space through which existence smiles at itself. There is no enlightenment to hold, only light being itself. Let the breath continue without your name. Let awareness rest as silence, and silence radiate as light. For this quiet brilliance within stillness, is the breath of the Buddha, breathing through all worlds. Thank you for breathing with me in this moment of stillness. If this meditation has touched something quiet within you, let that silence keep breathing through your life. Gently support this space of awareness by liking, sharing, or leaving a few words from your heart. Each comment is like another breath of light helping this message travel a little further in the world. May you continue to live as the breath of awareness, radiant, peaceful, and free. Until the next moment of stillness, breathe and be light.